בשעה טובה. We continue, בפרק כ"א, פסוק כ"ב. עיר גיבורים עלה חכם. Right? In the city of the warriors, a chacham went up, meaning, or התגבר, כביכול, he took control. He won. The chacham won the city of the warriors. ויורד, he brought down, עוז מבטחה, right? Oz, the strength of מבטחה, of what was kept very, it was overly protected.
Mais sur mute, tu peux confirmer à Billy, c'est quoi il est où le temps?
Donc, les עיר גיבורים, you know what, רק שנייה, hold on. כן, so, גיבור, חכם went up to the cities of warriors and brought down Oz. Yes, there's something that is strong and מבטחה, that was protected, highly protected. It says, Chachamim, they say, in Midrash Mishlei, עיר גיבורים, it's Shamayim. That's where the גיבורי כוח עושה דברו, דהיינו the מלאכים, reside. That's עיר גיבורים. עלה חכם, the חכם went up, who's the חכם? It's משה רבנו, שעלה לשמיים. ויורד עוז מבטחה, that's the Torah, he brought down the Torah. כן? The Torah is the most valuable, the most precious, and it was also the most coveted creation that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had, and he kept it very carefully. And everybody was mishtokek, wanted the Torah Kedosha. And the Torah also is called Oz. Hashem Oz le'amo yiten. Right? So that's the pshat. He wants to say that's Shlomo HaMelech is referring to Moshe Rabbeinu that was able to elevate himself and go to the Olam, to the world of the Malachim, and fight with them to take the Torah, and brought the Torah down. Ve'od, another pirush, Ir Gevorim, again it's Shamayim. דהיינו, עולם העליון. עלה חכם, he says it's every חכם וחכם. Every tzaddik, every chacham. When does the chacham or the tzaddik goes to Shamayim? At night, when he goes to sleep. His neshama goes to Shamayim. And what happens in Shamayim? He learns Torah. He learns Torah. Now, depending on the Amal Torah, how much he toiled in Torah and the Limud and Avodat Hashem during the day, this will determine what he will learn and what he will retain in Shamayim during his sleep. And he said, but you have tzaddikim gedolim, right? That not only they go to Shamayim and they learn Torah at night, yes, but they are so connected and they are so elevated that they can bring down Torah also. They bring down Hidushim with them. For example, the Nevi'im did that. Rabbi Nehonia ben Akana, Rabbi Yoshua bar Hanina, right? Yehezkel, for example, Baruch kevod Hashem mimekomo, right? Where did he hear this? He heard that when he elevated during his nevuah. Okay? The Kedusha, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Yeshaya Navi, right? When he Ala Marom. So says the Gaon, every tzaddik and every chacham, depending on his Torah, depending on his Mesirut Nefesh, depending on his avodah, when he goes to sleep, or the moment that he sleeps, his neshama elevates itself to Gan Eden, right? And goes and sit next to the tzaddikim. These are the Ir Giborim, the Giborei, Giborei Hayil, that are there and learning Torah. And the neshama listens Torah to that Torah from those tzaddikim, from those Giborim. Okay? Now, when the neshama comes down, it comes down sometimes with some clarity. Yes, that's when the neshama is very elevated and very connected. And when it is even more holy and more elevated, it remembers what it learned. Many times a person goes to sleep, he wakes up, he knows he dreamt of something, but he doesn't remember. Or he remembers that somebody told him something, but he doesn't remember what it is. That's the transition. That's what happened when the neshama again transits back to the body. Yes, it loses, it gets all confused, and it no longer remember, right? It doesn't remember what it learned, what it saw. So that's the hidush of that pasuk. Yes. So when a person turns Torah lishma, when a person does mitzvot lishma, when a person is shakua belimud or is me'ayen b'Torah kedosha, yes, he is granted secrets during his sleep. Pasuk Kav Gimel. Shomer piv ulshono, whoever yes keeps his mouth and his tongue. Shomer mitzarot nafsho, protects himself from tzarot, yes, from problems. So says the Gaon like this: there are two roots of averot, two roots of that can lead to an avera. Ta'ava, desire, and dibur, and speech. Yes, when a person speaks, he exposes himself to a problem, and when a person desires, he exposes himself to a problem. So says the Gaon, right? Keneged, aligned with those two, yes, roots of problem of avera, of averot. There are two also punishments. One is called Gehinam, and the other one is called Kafakela. Gehinam, we understand what it is, right? It's a person that goes through a cleansing process. And the Kafakela, we know also. Kafakela, there's already, it's in limbo, right? When the person is in limbo, he doesn't have judgment, he doesn't have Gehinam, he doesn't have Gan Eden, he's floating, which is the worst. So says the Gaon like this. For the Ta'avot, yes, meaning for the Averot that I made from Ta'avot, from desires, comes Gehinam, right? Why? The Gehinam is just the Ta'ava. It's not something bad, Lema'aseh, because Baruch gave Ta'ava for humans to exist and to survive, right? And to procreate, etc. Just that the person took it too far, right? So he has to mix it. You have to clean up the extras, the mess. However, ba'ad dibur, but the speaking, that's already kafakela, לא עלינו. Both of those dinim, those punishments, can kafakela and gehinam, both of them are very tsar, they're very tight. Yes, it's not. These are. The person created tsarot, so he ends up in a place that is tsar, that is tight. Just like the mouth. The mouth is a small place, a tight place. Yes, from which comes the dibur. Okay, the ta'avot. Okay, says the Maharal. The ta'avot, they come ben sal'otav shel adam. They come between the no, not the Mechila, not the Maharal. The Chovot HaLevavot says that in the Akdama. Yes, that the ta'avot of a person, they sit between, okay, between his ribs. They know the heart. The heart also is something that is tight. Okay, so both of them create an outcome for the person that is also tight. Yes, that's whether it's Geinam or whether it's Kafakela. So says Shlomo HaMelech, Shomer piv ulshono, somebody that is careful with his mouth and with his tongue. Okay? Shomer mitzarot. And he protects his nefesh from tzarot. The piv, the mouth, is the tava, because you eat with the mouth, right? And the lashon is the speech. That's piv ulshono. Okay? And they are working together, right? You cannot, the pe without the tongue cannot speak, and the tongue without cannot. Also, you cannot eat if there's no tongue, right? How can you eat? And you cannot speak without a mouth. It's not enough that you have a tongue. So Shlomo HaMelech is basically telling us that there is a very tight connection between the ta'ava and between the dibur, between the desire and between the speech. They work hand in hand, meaning what you say, yes, will awake within you all types of desires. And when there's a desire, it triggers you to want to speak about it. So they work hand in hand, the two. As if you're shomer pivul shono, if you know how to protect both, then you protected yourself for sure from tzarot. Okay, Ryan, you with us? Pasuk Kaf Dalet. Zed Yahir, somebody that has pride and that is insolent, chutzvan. Let Shemo, he's called a let. He's called a scoffer, right? Oseh be'evrat zadon. What he does it with a strong insolence, like with a chutzpah kaze. Okay? Says Rabbeinu Yonah.
We have a question with just the words for a second before we get
Yes.
it. Obviously, the ZX in Zadon.
Yes.
Why do we need that double language in the beginning and at the end? Is that just the poetry talking, or is there?
No, because okay, so that's what I'm saying. Rabbeinu Yonah learns from here that what's the definition of a scoffer, of a letz? Is somebody that is Yahir and that is Zed. He has Ga'ava, yeah, and he has insolence. He's chutzpan. That's a letz. That's a scoffer. Yes. So, Ose be'evrat zadon, right? He will act, okay, with arrogance. But that's the letz. The Zed and Yahir is the definition of the letz. His behavior is evrat zadon. And that's a continuation to the pasuk that we said before. If you're not shomer pevul shono, right? Now, Shlomo Amer says you have to be careful to keep your mouth and your tongue. And if you don't, so then you become by default a Zed Yahir. You become a letz. You become a scoffer. It's a very interesting transition that the Gaon has here. The Gaon basically says, if you don't work towards shomer mitzarot nafsho, right? If you don't work towards that, you fall into the definition of the scoffer. You become by default a less. Meaning, if you don't work, yes, on your ta'ava and you don't work on your dibur, so that means what? That means that you let your ta'ava grow and act as it pleases, and you let yourself speak as you please. So you will develop arrogance, insolence, and ego. And says the Gaon, it's a natural thing. Pay attention that whoever, yes, lets his ta'avot control him by, it's a question of time before he becomes ga'aftan, before he becomes egocentric. Dainu he says, after the person eats, drinks, okay, and does all the shigonot that he wants, he builds this level of satisfaction. Ah, now I did, I enjoyed. Look at me. I can eat, I can drink, I can buy, I can do whatever I want. That behavior, says the Gaon, will for sure, yes, lead to ga'ava, to egocentrism, to arrogance. So the let's, yes, a scoffer. Why do you define him as a scoffer? We said because of his mouth, right? That's Bepe, that's the dibur. He makes fun of everything. He's a clown. But that leads to what? To actions, right? That's the ta'avot. That's the pay, right? That's the maaseh. And Yahir, which is the Ga'ava, is b'mahashava. Says the Gaon, basically, yes, when a person doesn't work on his ta'ava and on his divur, he falls into a snowball effect of behavior that will start with what? With first talking nonsense, yes, because that he doesn't retain his speech. That will lead him to then feed his ta'avot, start becoming arrogant and do whatever he wants to do in a very impulsive and selfish way. That's the maaseh. Yes? So the fall down is not just a fall down on one specific level, it's a fall down from machshava, dibur, maaseh. Like it contaminates the entire process and madrigat adam and build-up of men. Clear? Vamos para o Bezrat Hashem. Ta'avat atzel, the craving of the atzlan, of the lazy, temitenu, will kill him. Ki me'anu yadav la'asot, because his hands never wanted to actually do. So the atzlan, what's the definition of the atzlan? What's the definition of the atzlan? Is somebody that doesn't do. Yes? That says and do nothing. That's atzlut. That's laziness. So says the Gaon, because he doesn't do nothing, he doesn't get productive. He doesn't get ulomit asher. He doesn't become rich. So that leads to what? The atzel now desires to be rich, but he doesn't do nothing to become rich. This ta'ava, this desire, this FOMO, this void that the Aslan feels will end up killing him. Meaning it will drown that person in the depths of depression, of sadness, to the point where the person will end up dying. He will let himself die. Then Rav Dessler says this does not only apply to someone that is at sale and doesn't do nothing. It applies also to someone that basically whatever he does it from ayn ra'ah, from a bad eye. He gets what he gets because he has a bad eye on others. Yes, his motivation, yes, is not to grow for who he is and build someone what he wants to become. Yes, but because of his jealousy for others. So no matter what he gets, says Rav Dessler, has a geder of mayim meluchim, of water that's salty. It's never enough. We will never be satisfied because he never did it for himself. He only did it out of jealousy and kin'ah for others. So yes, so Rav Dessler extends this hidush of the Gaon one step further. Yes, Brian.
Where does he learn that from? From what where is he extending it from? From which words is he seeing that?
Who?
Of Desta.
Ah,
The ta'ava in general.
the ta'avat
Person who
atzel.
has ta'avot.
You know, he's atzel. He's lazy. What does it mean? He's lazy, meaning he doesn't make the effort to see who he really is and what he really deserves as a person. It's enough for him to see what others have, for him to awake that envy and that jealousy, to trigger in him a desire to want to have the same thing, but not for who he is, just because the other has it. Right? That's where that atzlut. So he's still atzel. When somebody is busy building himself up, he couldn't care less what others do. It doesn't matter what you have. I'm busy building myself. Now, yes, I can be motivated from your success, from your growth, from who you are, but I'm not going to go and try to be you because I have to be myself. But when I'm lazy and I don't want to see who I am and I don't want to work on myself, yes, and all I'm focused on because I'm lazy is on others. So by being focused on others, I'm jealous from what they have, and that stimulates me to want to have what they have. Yes. So says the Rav Dessler, whatever you will get from that behavior at the end, it has a geder of mayim meluchim. It's salted water. You will never satisfy yourself. So at the end, you will die from that ta'ava. The ta'ava of always wanting what the other hand will get you to die. What does it mean to die? You never realize yourself. Your potential died with you. You were a waste of potential. Why? כי מענו ידיו לעשות, because his hands and his hands that are his to build his life never were proactive, never did anything. Good?
Well, so the reason why is because he's never going to feel like he accomplished?
נכון? נכון?
Because there's always going to be other people with more, and he's
That's
always looking
right.
after another
That's
guy.
right. In the beginning it's Shimon, and after that it's Levi, and after that it's Yehuda, and after that it's Reuven, right? So he's always impersonating someone else, but never being himself. And since it is what motivates him and what triggers in him action, yes, at the end, this ta'ava keeps on growing, right? Because it becomes he's a part of his essence. That's what he wakes up with, and that's how he goes to sleep. טוב? נעמוד כאן. פסוק בעזרת השם, we just did כ"ד, כ"ה. Even though the כ"ו, it continue, but it's, we can, נעמוד כאן בעזרת השם. טוב.